In ancient times, in a land of mighty warriors and divine powers, there was a great city called Troy. This city was besieged by the Greek armies, led by powerful kings and heroes. One of the greatest Greek warriors was Achilles. He was strong, brave, and almost unbeatable in battle. But Achilles had a great quarrel with Agamemnon, the leader of the Greeks. Agamemnon had taken Briseis, a beautiful captive woman, who had been given to Achilles as a prize. This act filled Achilles with anger. He refused to fight and withdrew from the battlefield, leaving the Greeks in a dire situation. While Achilles stayed away, his dear friend Patroclus decided to help the Greeks. Patroclus put on Achilles' armor and led the Greeks into battle. The Greeks fought fiercely under his command, but fate was unkind. In the heat of battle, Hector, the brave prince of Troy, challenged Patroclus. They fought with great courage, but Hector, with his fierce strength, struck Patroclus down. The news of Patroclus' death reached Achilles, and his heart was filled with sorrow and rage. Achilles, grieving for his friend, could no longer stay away. He donned his mighty armor and rejoined the battle. His return was like a storm upon the battlefield. The Trojans trembled before him. In a fierce duel, Achilles faced Hector. The battle between them was fierce and tragic. With a final blow, Achilles defeated Hector, and the hero of Troy lay lifeless. Achilles, in his anger, desecrated Hector's body, dragging it behind his chariot. This act brought great sorrow to Hector's family, especially to his father, King Priam. King Priam, with a heavy heart, went to Achilles and begged for the return of his son's body. Achilles, moved by the king's grief and reminded of his own father, agreed to return Hector's body. They shared a moment of shared sorrow and understanding. The Greeks and Trojans then held a brief truce to bury Hector with honor. The scene of Hector's funeral was somber, reflecting the heavy cost of the war. The tale of the Iliad does not end with Hector's funeral. The war continued, and the Greeks, still determined to capture Troy, devised a clever plan. They built a giant wooden horse, hollowed out and filled with their bravest soldiers. They left this wooden horse at the gates of Troy as a gift, then retreated from the city. The Trojans, believing they had won the war and that the horse was a sign of peace, brought it into their city. That night, as the city slept, the Greek soldiers hidden inside the horse emerged. They opened the gates for the Greek army, which had secretly returned. The Greeks poured into the city, and Troy was overwhelmed. The city that had stood for so many years was now engulfed in flames. The burning of Troy was a sight of sorrow and destruction. Amidst the chaos, Achilles continued to fight fiercely. Yet, even the greatest heroes are not invincible. The Trojans, seeking revenge, turned their focus on Achilles. Paris, the Trojan prince who had once taken Helen, shot an arrow with the guidance of the god Apollo. The arrow struck Achilles in his only vulnerable spot, his heel. Achilles fell, his life slipping away. The Greeks mourned their fallen hero. Achilles, who had fought so bravely and lost so much, met his end as the flames consumed the city he had fought to conquer. And so ends the story of the Iliad, with the fall of Troy and the death of its greatest warrior, a tale of honor, rage, and the timeless consequences of war.